Hello, welcome to the Prism deck profile that was used in the V Premium tournament for the London Springfest 2022. With me, I've got Dave as well. So we're just going to go through his deck profile, and Dave will just jump in from time to time to talk about any sort of highlights that he sees as we go across each card. So
Yeah. Okay. So at least like thanks for like lending all of the cards because like it was super last moment.
yeah, yeah, and I suggested bringing the V deck right
Yeah.
after you left the house as well. So
Like I was already at Border Patrol and then Mo was like, "Hey, can you bring your free deck?" I'm like, it's at home."
yeah, so a lot of last minute stuff happened.
Hmm.
Trying to figure all kinds of things out. But basically, we've got the starter. So this whole deck was actually built out of three cases that I got recently. Um, so I've got a handful of these SPRS starters lying around. You
Which
can
I was
obviously play
super
anything.
surprised by. Like I literally was playing. I didn't look at the cards in the meantime, and like, Mo, why is here a swimsuit SP in here? And I'm seeing like three of a kind. I'm like, what is this?
So we've got four copies of Vert. I pulled actually three of the Vert SP pack somehow in three cases. So one here, just a generic one, and then three here just to distract your opponent with. And basically, really solid grade 3 card in general.
Yeah, like the backbone of the deck. Like I think like the strongest V boss unit we have gotten, like with the support and stuff. Like
Yeah,
so much versatility, like in the sense that you can even bounce triggers back. So let's say for example you go draw PGs down early because of skills and stuff. You just can bounce them back to hand, which I did multiple times. So
it's just mad, really. Especially when you've got
yeah,
cards like Gleeslet as well, which can bring back
yeah,
random triggers you don't want to call.
definitely. And then here we have two copies of Orange, which I never ever used.
Guess it's just there as a spare ride in case you break.
Yeah, essentially because like for people that don't know, like I bricked like with search suckers I bricked a ton. Like I definitely had some situations where orange will be perfect, and I was like, I guess the green tree search doesn't work because I just put them three on the field or like bounce and call, but never worked.
Yikes. And it's also nice with Pulses as well. If you draw one copy of the Pulses, you can just call the other one and have that crit, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, that's totally correct indeed. You just put an entire field, bounce four, have one post just left on the field, and just call the other one.
Yeah, really scary. And maintains a bit of pressure. And then we've got the four copies of Rosa, the good
Yeah,
card.
very good card. With like for the story, I whiffed her 14 times in the entire day, which is like two times a match essentially because we have to play 5 rounds of Swiss and then three in the top cut, so that's like sort of eight and stuff like that. But like Rosa is essentially there to set up your bind zone in the early game, like because you have quite a lot of Prism units still in your deck because it's early game. You tend to get two to hand. Never happened to me. I only get one at maximum or like none at like normal base. So whenever I go into my prism or like in my third, I only had one prism to go down to, which was just horrible.
Yeah, yeah, that is not good. And then we've got
But
also,
yeah, the better prism, like this is guaranteed.
yeah, best Prism Clear.
Yeah, best prism, like this is like the beater of the deck. Like yeah, is everything.
For
And the
Listelet, free card. Great one.
yeah, free rush essentially. Like you just put it down in grade one, you just bash up on skull in and like, oh yeah, baby, I'm going. And yeah, you just like you also have like then a bounce target for Aqua for the next turn if they didn't decide to like retire your Lieselot. But like most people didn't do that, so I was
Ah,
really happy with it.
so you probably got
Yeah,
also some extra counter blast as well to use with Vert or more Roses.
yeah,
And then we've got three copies of Aqua.
yeah. I tend to agree with this, like in the sense like when you have the pure prism list, because like this is essentially ripped off of Maxim, or like Solemn, and because we were talking about the list and stuff like that. But I think actually the three aquas are correct because you only need them in the early game, and then later you want to like do more like filtering or plussing onto your field, and in the early game you really want to see the correct targets in your drop and stuff like that. And that's where aqua more comes in to also like bounce and call the Lieselot constantly.
Yeah, and the fact it's a Vanguard and Rayguard skill as well just makes it so
Yeah,
stable. And
yeah.
speaking of
First,
Vanguard and Rayguard skills, we've got another one here.
this card is like the lifesaver. Holy fuck! Like every single time I got this, like on the field, I was super happy. Like I just ditched the card and I can just add whatever I needed. So let's say, for example, I am in a tough match where I need PGs and I see PG, add it to hand, and you don't even need to refill the card you add to hand. It's like, yeah,
So
just really
nice.
good. Yeah, and it got 10k when your opponent is grade 3, like magic numbers.
I don't even know which way around this artwork is supposed to go, but we've got one of each Pearl Sister as well because it's limited.
Like this is MVP. Like the Pulse Sisters is when you're playing Prism, at some point you draw so many cards and like went so hard through your deck that that you're essentially guaranteed to see them, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, your opponent is likely to win 4 damage, and when you just put the Pulses down, you will start crying. Like you
Oh,
just demolish them at that point.
yeah, it's pretty painful. And then you've got
Yeah,
also the 4 copies of Sedna, the Grade 3 Searcher.
yeah, I think I like also whiffed her like a couple of like 7 to 9 times, but at least she doesn't cost a counter blast.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and she's a 30k boosted all time, so I'm like happy with it, and I can still bounce her. And yeah, Rosa's just a bad card. Sedna is like a better card than Rosa.
Yeah, I had an opponent that had the same issue. They whiffed Rosa and they whiffed Sedna. I think it was, yeah. From my credit, it was whiff Rosa and then whiff Sedna and then they rode Ange. But I didn't give them
Yeah,
counterblast, so they couldn't use Ange's skill.
yeah.
And now the more unusual choice is Betty.
This is MVP. Like I said, like Pulses is MVP, but Betty is like second best MVP because Betty hit every single time. Where like it's super weird because it's of course like a Highlander card, so
Yeah,
you wouldn't expect it to hit it like when in the sort of like when you play 4 ups and stuff. But how it essentially works, you're only checking top 7, and triggers doesn't count in, so you're only checking for like 3 to 4 cards potentially, and like seeing duplicates among them is like can be quite hard. So Betty is quite consistent, I would say.
yeah,
Uh, and also like checking top 7 and put something back to your hand is really huge because like I said earlier with the grade 2, you can just add also PGs to your hand. Only your opponent really knows now. But the card you put back for Betty, they don't know. So you can essentially put crits back constantly or heals back constantly. And when people are like they think, oh, he's out of heals or out of crits, you still check them, right?
yeah. That is kind of broken actually. Now that you put it that way. And then we've also
uh,
got the Spiana, which also I think returns cards.
Yeah, so what she essentially does is like return a card with the same card name as a unit on your Vanguard or Rayguard circle from your drop zone to the deck. You shuffle a counter charge. I had one matchup where I really, really needed because I played against. Don't remember his name. Like I played him a bunch of times, really good friend of mine, but like he played Reward and he was he damage denied me for 4 turns in a row. And I was like digging every single time at the top 7 with Betty, Aqua Bounce, Lisa Lot, and stuff like that. I think I went to like searching 20 to 25 cards. But the problem against the matchup was I was forced into riding Spiana in the early game. So I only had one left in the deck. So then it becomes really hard. And at the moment he gave me counter blast, I top decked it. And I
Oh
was
wow,
like,
sick.
yeah, you're not you're not too late, man. Yeah, sorry. And then we have here Nikita, and this is the card. Like I have to say, I misplayed a bit in the first round, I think, because essentially what I forgot to do, like sometimes with this a lot, you see triggers and stuff like that, or like units that you don't want to go, and you're like automatically put them on the field because like why not, right? But Nikita actually needs the soul because you have 3 soul to work with, and then you can essentially like scrape in that extra soul for third with Lieselot. But then you need to sometimes make that play to optimize that, right? Um, but I didn't do that like at the first round, and when I realized the first round to do that, then like Nikita went big. But the first round wasn't really big of a problem because like I had to play against Melody, and like I remember the person was dead. Well, he was great too. So yeah, so be it.
Then we got the triggers, so draw PGs. I don't think there's much
Yeah.
to say about this one. I mean,
Just don't play Sentinels, please.
yeah, and then of course the heals.
Yeah. So, like just super stable. Yeah, what if I said earlier, like you need to count what you send back because of stuff like betting and stuff like just 8 quits, 4 heals, 4 draws, super standardized, and nothing really to say about that.
Yeah, just various crits just to be confusing, basically. But not
Yeah,
really,
but you
because anyone could guess a crit 4 draws, I suppose.
but you tend to like see most of your triggers because you're filtering so much to your deck.
Yeah.
Um, like that's the thing. But like, and even if you do like, even if you saw a lot of triggers in the early game, like to drawing and stuff, because you're drawing a bunch, like you can just send them back and still see a bunch of triggers in the late game.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and but then like also Rosa needs to hit a bunch of times. Like let's say for example Rosa hits 1 to 2 times in the game. That's like filtering 4 cards out of your deck, which is like quite huge when you're considering like you're also plussing on them and stuff like that. And then you have Sedna. Like in the early game, you're filtering a bunch, so you see a lot of triggers. Late game, you send back, see a lot of triggers. So this deck sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of good for that. Very good deck to
yeah.
sack with, for sure. A lot of manipulation.
And I think for like the interesting matches I played with this deck, I think round three. Well, I faced a Gear Chronicle player. Like what's super funny because I played Gear Chronicle at like multiple events, and he essentially completely copied my list and my playstyle, right? And I made the list to perfectly counter Prism. So I essentially counted my own list with like my own deck recipe, right? Which was super funny to actually play because I got to talk with him later with Rayguard I talk later about. And then at the top four, I had to play against Hello Happy World. With
Oh, yeah.
yeah, with the brothers like Theo and Pierre. I don't know what's the name of the middleman. Sorry though, sorry.
Yeah, your
Uh,
opponent, yeah. The one in the
yeah,
middle.
but essentially what happened like still like I don't want to like shit talk anything. He was a super good player, but like he saw a bunch of draws, bunch of heals and stuff like that. But like he like I wouldn't say sack because he played into it, which is very different than sacking, I think, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about Happy World and Bang Gym or what kind of stuff they can do. But if I remember correctly, like, because I saw the game, it was going on for a long time.
Yeah,
I did see like 2 heals go off in the drive check towards the end of the game, I think.
yeah,
But
also yeah.
apparently, like, there was a lot of heals going off in that game. Um,
Like he just got two perfect heals of defensively.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah, because like I wanted to pressure for like at the 4 damage mark, but like he
yeah,
then took the 4 damage and then healed back to
yeah.
3 and stuff like that, so that sort of stuff.
That's why I always
But
go for that fifth damage. Like a lot of times when I play, I always get paranoid that someone's going to heal down during the next
oh,
turn.
I never like I never really wanted to damage deny him, but like or like don't want to attack him, but like I wanted to end my turn. Well, he was on 4 because I could do more attacks and stuff like that. So I just attacked him, and I was like super happy because then I could put pulses onto the board like next turn. And then he healed to 3 and was like, okay, I will begin my turn a little bit worse next turn, right?
Yeah,
But in the end, like, really good player. He killed me. The game went for on too long. Like, he did everything properly. Nothing really to say about that.
yeah, and to make it like to the finals of Bang Dream is insane. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like a massive
remember.
well done.
I remember gaming 5k short and shoot value to win that game, or like not win, like essentially to survive, and then like it would probably be win because he like had like the only two heals in hand to guard with. But like, yeah, Rosa with too many times. Like
Oh
also in
yeah,
that match, I think Rosa with also like 2 times or something like that.
Rosa just doesn't like you. I've had a bad relation with Decay of Just Path as well during the day. Decay,
Yeah.
well, it's not as bad as Rosa, but Decay did screw me over in the worst possible times. Like I remember the Loire game. I
Mhm.
basically opened 4 triggers and I had Phenomenons of Constellations, which was the original card that I had in hand before Mulligan. And
Mhm.
then I drew like a trigger again, I think, in my draw phase. I then No, sorry, no. I did draw trigger, and then GS I got decay of just path. I rode decay. I drew another decay, and then I basically get one of the. I think it's the old Uranus that I got off of the decay. So I didn't get two, sadly. So I couldn't get the marker. But then I call the other decay, and I get 0 cards. So I just negged myself 2 cards by calling a grade 1 and soul charging one from hand. And I just looked and was like, wow, I have no time for this. But thankfully, I got into my turn 3. I managed to actually get what I needed to do the high roll play. I got him to 6 damage, but there was a heal that went off, so it was going to happen eventually. There was going to be a heal at some
Yeah,
point, and then
yeah,
I just died next turn because my hand has been massively reduced by the reasons I
yeah.
explained at the start. But yeah, it's kind of like really snaky when these searches don't work because you just find that your card economy just becomes terrible, and then you realize, oh, I might not be able to last as long after all.
Yeah, essentially what I did is like play vanilla numbers, arc was 15, boosted by Sedna 13, attack your opponent, best your skill in, bounce everything, call only one prism because I did that more and win the game of that.
Yeah.
Like I think that also shows how busted the deck a little bit is, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it's Bermuda. You can't take them down and keep them down. They'll always get back up because they have a
Yeah,
lot of support every year.
yeah. But we
Well,
in the
okay,
a
in
bit
V they slow down now, but definitely in premium they'll have a lot of support.
yeah. But in the end we both went X2, I think, right? Like you
I
went
got so I lost. Yeah, no, yeah, we did. Yeah, I lost two
yeah.
rounds in Swiss. So I lost that Loire player that I mentioned just earlier, and I lost a
Yeah, I
Spectral
also
Duke as well. And then yeah, but then I went against Loire again later. This time the Loire player got less lucky, and I got well, I went business as usual, and it worked out for me.
yeah. And I also lost to Leward the Swiss, and then in top, yeah, of course, in top 4, I lost to Hella Happy World, which is like super actually funny.
Yeah, yeah. There's always gonna
But
be some. It
yeah,
was a very interesting tournament, that's for sure. Like
yeah, and
Bang
essentially,
J making finals, having a 0 score make third place. There's all kinds of
yeah,
crazy stuff that happened that day.
yeah, we really like. I'm really amazed that like Jack joined us, of course, like, but like coming third place, I would never imagine.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and uh, and also for the fact, and like I of course know Prism in and out because of like you play a bunch of that like in the last couple of 2 years or something like that. But like I never really played this variant as well as Prism. I never touched the deck, so I'm like, okay, first time, boys.
yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, I wasn't really confident because I've not actually tried Prism yet. I've been fence sitting building it for premium. That's kind of part of the reason I decided to pick it up because I've got the old Jira stuff. So I was tempted just to try it out in premium format. I might maybe do a deck profile on that at some point. Um, Maybe because it would be interesting. And besides, we've got a better version of that premium collection stride or premium clan collection stride because the one for Prism doesn't have a massive discard cost that happens before drive check. So, uh, yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see. Plus, you can search your verts more consistently because you got the critical trigger as well.
Yeah, true. But I think like like that talk will be in a different deck profile, right?
Yeah.
Like so I think that's it for now.
Yep, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, thanks for doing this joint deck profile. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.